Good evening, parents. We'll wait for another 2-3 minutes for some more parents to join, and then we'll start the today's webinar session. Till then, I request all the participants to note down the social media pages of Kids International Preschool. I would request you to like and follow us in the Instagram page, Facebook page, and the YouTube channel as well. This webinar recording will also be live streamed in YouTube with sometime soon. You can also later watch this webinar live in the YouTube as well. Thank you. I request all the parents and participants to follow us in our social media pages. So let's start. Good evening, all. I thank all the parents joining in this webinar today. Warm welcome to you all. My name is Ram Kumar. I'm a business manager responsible for Kids operations in Tamil Nadu and Kerala. To address the today's webinar, along with me, we have Dr. Anita Madan, head
Good
of
evening.
curriculum and content, is also with us today in this webinar. So, in today's webinar, we are going to address on what factors that the parent should consider while choosing a preschool. So let's proceed to the today's webinar session now. So we as a Kids preschool chain are having a few decades of experience in the preschool operations with the 1,200 centers across India and serving more than 5 lakh students so far. We kind of a truly a preschool expert in what we do. So that way we make a young child starting their early childhood education in a funful, joyous manner, where we prepare their for a formal schooling from first standard. And in simple, that's what we do for the last 21 years. So that way, across India, in all the major towns and cities, almost about 350 plus cities is where I have a network presence. So this is a part of a larger group called a Lighthouse Learning, a private limited. Here are the few awards that we have got in the recent time. These are just to name few. In this last 20 years, we almost got more than a 40 plus awards for the excellence in our business operations. So let's see the importance of early childhood education. So education is a lifelong process. It starts as we are all born. Uh, the learning happens either actively or passively. We all learn by listening, seeing, watching, doing. So that way, we all know the importance of learning for every human being. At the same time, there is a famous proverb that goes in South India, which goes like, what does not bend in 5 years, it does not bend in 50 years also. So that way, our forefathers also know the importance of early childhood. However, I have a video now to play all of you where the industry experts across the globe are also, emphasizing the importance of early childhood. Let's watch this video and then we'll proceed further.
What is it that will make some of these babies thrive while others won't? What will make some of these toddlers go on to college and pursue rewarding careers or fulfill their professional aspirations, while others might have to settle for a lot less? Is it a matter of fate, money, intelligence? Is it luck, hard work, genetics? Is it a question of education? What happens in the first few years of life before formal schooling begins helps to lay the foundation for future success. What children experience even before they learn how to talk increases their chances of reaching their full potential and might be the key to creating better societies for everyone. And the secret lies in the most unsuspected place: our young brain.
If you're seeing, if you're hearing, if you're feeling, if you're deciding, if you're thinking, if you're reading, etc., this is your brain in action.
During our early years, the brain is optimized for learning and is capable of extraordinary change. No wonder a baby brain can create more than 1 million new neural connections every single second. They say practice makes perfect, and that is exactly what the brain does. Every time we learn or experience something new, it detects a change, and that change forms connections, which help build the foundation of a powerful brain. The connections that are not used repeatedly are lost. During the early years, when the brain is at its most active, is when the roadmap of our lives is first designed. Although change is possible as children grow, science is proving that getting it right from the beginning is the best opportunity we have to increase our chances of happiness and success.
Children are natural learning machines. They are born ready to learn. They already have learned some things, even in utero.
The first 3 years of life, I think, are the magical years for intervention, because the changes that we facilitate then can last for the rest of the child's life and of the parent's life and create a new way of relating.
A really good, solid early childhood education foundation are more likely to continue their education when they leave high school. They're more likely to go to college. They are 4 times more likely to graduate from college. They are more likely to get highly skilled jobs that pay more. They are actually healthier as adults.
Because none of us can remember our lives before we were 2 or 3 or 4, depending on when your first memory is, it's easy to think that there's nothing happening in there. The idea that we would think about learning as something that doesn't happen until you're 5 or 6 just doesn't make sense scientifically.
And so kindergarten prep begins in the crib, begins at birth, begins with the parents' knowledge of what their contribution is going to be to the baby's brain development. Because a brain has to be built. It comes to learn, but it's not built yet.
While some of these children may thrive and others might not, we now know that the experiences they are exposed to and the skills they acquire early on truly matter for the brain's development. The early years are an unrepeatable opportunity to improve their chances of happiness and success, and the best way to help them fulfill their dreams. whatever they may be.
that the scholars across the globe are resonating our thoughts on the importance of early childhood. Let's see what a research and our own experience of handling kids over last 21 years, says about all. So what we witness is when a child goes through a structured scientific curriculum, they are a better in the language skills, showing a better socialization skills as well, with a lesser behavioral and disciplinary issues as well. We also observe when a child goes through a structured early childhood with us, they are having a higher attention span when they go for a higher grades and move on their life. And the social interaction also happens at a much more faster pace. We also witness that when child is completes a formal preschool early education with us, achieving their development milestones at an appropriate time, and 4 times more likely to graduate with the higher grades is what we are witnessing. And at last, we the students of us are also getting highly skilled jobs as well. Let's see some of the difference, how we are different from a preschool, mainstream schools, and what are the factors that you should also consider in EuroKids environment. A child gets a one-on-one attention with a lesser child to teacher ratio, where a child gets an equal opportunity to have a peer interaction and learn from them as well. So that way we empower your child to share a collaborative and build a relationship in an enriching environment. Whereas when you take, as all of us know, in a mainstream school or in a K-12 school setup, the child to teacher ratio is 30 or 40 or more than that. We follow at EuroKids a age appropriate infrastructure. When I say age appropriate infrastructure, starting from the floor of our preschool premises, for a PG nursery classroom setup, we do something called a vinyl flooring or a EVA foam mats, where a children would be made to sit on a floor. That's what it makes them so comfortable, on being on a floor to explore and learn inside a preschool, ambience. So that way, from the floor till all the walls and all the space inside the preschool ambience, we make more, age appropriate with the infrastructure facilities available in the school property. Vis-a-vis in a mainstream school, it's all very larger classrooms with a lesser adult monitoring happens in a mainstream school environment. The toys and equipment that we use in our EuroKids preschools are and non-toxic and child-friendly, makes it so funful and colorful for children to enjoy their early childhood education with us. With a structured peer interaction and mindful learning, where we evaluate a child, based on their skill levels, where the portfolio is maintained at a EuroKid preschool at a child level, which will be informed to the parent in a parent teachers meeting. Whereas in a mainstream school, it is a content and exam based, curriculum is what typically a mainstream school follows, and rote learning, approach learning is what the K-12 schools are, focused on. So that way, a child gets an opportunity to holistically develop in terms of emotional skills, life skills, learn the early childhood physical development and the academics at a preschool environment. In a K-12 school, the primary focus is only on the academic development. So in conclusion, in EuroKids, where a child gets a child-friendly ambience, where the learning happens in an exploration and engagement-based learning method, teachers in EuroKids environment are highly qualified and intensively trained team member is what we have in our network. So that way, all our preschool centers are gone through a comprehensive safety protocols, where we ensure that the child is completely safe inside the preschool environment. But the lesser child to teacher ratio is also something which you should also consider when you're evaluating a child in a formal education. So there is also a facility called a transfer facility where across our network in India, parent can avail a transfer facility with the 2 weeks prior notice to us. We are also India's first safe school network where our safety pillars based on a 6-point safety starts with the CCTV surveillance and monitoring consistently happens at all the center. We also adhere to all the guidelines being issued by a state and central government and all other relevant bodies who are involved in the school operations. There is also a safety protocol called 360-degree safety certification, where safety officers from the internal team visit the centers and audit them and arrest a zero possibility of any untoward incident which can potentially happen inside a preschool premise. All our staffs are being uh, gone through a vigorous background check, and the team members are prepared on the emergency situations. That way, the crisis management has been well planned, where a children also goes through a mock drill in terms of being prepared for any crisis situation to tackle for. All our the entire preschool ambience is goes through a regular sanitation that includes toys, classrooms. The infrastructure that we have in the school is have a planned scheduled cleaning schedule as well in the school. So that way we are so proud that all our preschool centers are safe to handle the children. Now I invite Dr. Anita Madan to give more insight on the curriculum that we are following.
Good evening, parents. Thank you for joining us in such big numbers. Basically, when we see the preschool, there are a couple of things that we need to keep in mind for our children. Most important is the curriculum, because the infrastructure will not really help the child grow and develop. It's the curriculum that makes the child very strong and his foundation very strong. So Eunoia is our mindful curriculum. Eunoia is a Greek word which means the beautiful mind, and that is something that we nourish and we try to develop in young children right at that age. The curriculum is developed into three main domains, which is the mind, body, and soul. So if you see the next slide, it talks about the cognitive domain, the psychomotor domain, and the affective domain. So the cognitive domain is the knowledge, the information that we give the children. That's very important to develop the child intellectually. And that happens through the three programs that we have: the phonics, the math lab, and the scientific spark. The psychomotor domain is the physical body. So it's the how active your child is. If the child is very active, only then the brain can be active. So it's very important that the child's body is very active, and for that we do the Eurofit and the Yoga Kids. And the affective domain, that is the socio emotional development in the child. That's very important for the child, because we talk about the social skills, the emotional skills. We saw a lot of this happening during the pandemic, but thankfully our children are very secure, because we work a lot towards developing the emotional quotient, that's the socio emotional skills. I'll take you through each of these programs from the next slide onwards to give you more details in how we do this program. Now, how does a child read? We do not believe in rote reading and rote learning, where we, expect the child to memorize the spelling of the word and start reading. But we teach them the phonic sound. Now, each letter has a sound. We teach the child how to break the sound, break the letter, and then make a word, so that the child can read unknown words, new words that are not even in his domain. If the foundation of reading is strong, the child will be able to read that very well. And that's our own internally designed program called the Phonics, through which we teach the children the reading skills. Then we have the math lab. Now, math is such a abstract concept. If you see numbers, till you don't understand what is the value of the number, the children will not be able to relate to the numbers. How does 11 come in? Is it 1 and 1, or is it 10 plus 1? And we teach that through the math lab method, which is very concrete, hands on. We ask the children to make those numbers, and then we go on to the abstract numbers. So we do the concrete, the pictorial, and then the abstract numbers, which later on helps them because their concepts at a very young age are very, very clear. Then we go through the scientific spark. I called it scientific spark because it is trying to bring in the scientific thinking of the children, the scientists in the children, where we are expecting them to do a lot of observation, investigation, prediction. So even if we teach them a concept, we do not give them rote learning answers. We do not tell them that this is an apple and this is the color and this is a taste, but we want them to experience it. So we want them to go through it, taste it, touch it, feel it. We send them around the classroom to see what the materials are used. We have activities where they are walking around and creating things for themselves. So we are working a lot on their observation skills, on finding out answers for themselves. So that's how the scientific spark in the children develop. So that was the cognitive domain. Now we go to the physical development, that's the psychomotor domain. So in the psychomotor domain, I'm very, very proud to say that EuroKids is the only program who has a scientific, curriculum for developing the muscle to mind connection. We have a tie-up with Health Set Go, which is IOSA certified company, which have trainers from across the world who have designed a program for ourselves. They actually know how to work on the base of the child, how to build foundation, how to create the love for fitness. So through a lot of games and activities, we are creating physical development for children. The next is the yoga kids. We again tie up with yoga school for children, Shraddha Setalwad, which she designs yoga only for children. A lot of parents ask me, yoga is very boring for children, how will they do it? It's so adult, it's so for the adults. But I would say no, we have a program which is focused on stories, which is focused on activities. We're doing a story and a rhyme with children, and suddenly we talk about the cat and the mouse pose, the camel pose, the dog pose, and the children really relate to those. This helps in being aware of themselves, being aware of their breath, meditation, concentration, something that we want the child to learn, live with. We are working on that stays with them forever. So that's the physical domain. And then we come to the psychomotor affective domain. That's the social motor skills. We've tied up with Euro Music. That's we Sing Play Love, which is a US based company where Dr. Ann Meeker is a PhD in music, who's designed all the lyrics, who's like totally involved into the if social effective executive function skills of the children, who really wants the children not only to love music but also develop language through music, also develop behavioral skills through music. So it's an entire wholesome program that we have for the children. And then we have the Mindful Plus, where Fatima Khaidar is the founder of our program, who's the founder of Evolved, who has designed the program for us. Here we want the children to manage their emotions, self-regulation, understand to be in the present, not in the past and not in the future, for them to calm down. When we design this program and we implement it in school, within the next 3 months, I had teachers telling me, the children have shown a lot of behavioral changes. They are much more calmer. They are much more perceptive receptive to what others are thinking. They have understood what is others way of thought, and they have started respecting all that. So it's very important for the children to be taught these skills at a very, very young age, and the curriculum is designed in such a manner that the children have achieve all these skills at a very young age. The next slide. Now, what does the day at EuroKids look like? So we focus a lot on the active passive session. We focus a lot on the sessions which are small group, large group. So in the next slide, you will see how we have divided the entire timetable in such a manner that the children can concentrate on one activity and then have a passive time and the active time. So children learn better when the curriculum, the timetable is designed in the manner that their brain is ready to learn. The next slide. This is how the 3 hours of the play group is, where I just spoke about active passive time. You'll see we have a variety of activities throughout the day. So it's not that they are just writing ABCs and 1, 2, 3s, but they are doing a lot of skill development, if you see. The next slide talks about the kindergarten curriculum, which is a 4 hours curriculum. We have much more than what the 3 hours offers to the play group. We have mathematics, we have writing time, we have peer interaction time, library time. So we have a variety of things and activities that they provide to the children, which will give them a holistic and wholesome development. The next slide. This is few of our exciting programs. Time for reading. So we follow the Maria Montessori method of reading, where children learn through while they are playing with cards, which have sight words, which have visual discrimination, which have pictures. So there is no force of dictation that we see in the mainstream school. There is no force of rote learning that we see in mainstream schools. We have a lot of activities where the children focus on the activities, and this is how the time for reading is executed in the classroom. Then we have peer interaction, with the children learn from each other. The best teacher for the child is the friend. So we give them a lot of time together so that they can learn from each other. Then we have the sustainable development goals, which is devised by the United Nations. And EuroKids is the only preschool chain that follows, are participating in the early years goals, and we are all working towards a better nation. So we are teaching the children to respect the mother earth at the very, very young age. Then we have being safe. Being safe as a program is because the parents cannot be everywhere for the children. So we are training them to take care of themselves, whether they are in the outdoors, whether they are in the indoors, whether they're in the classrooms, whether they're in the kitchen, and from strangers. So we talk a lot about safety from strangers, good touch, bad touch. So we're equipping the children to be aware of what is good for them and what is not so good for them. The next slide. We provide the children with the happiness box when they join us in the academic year. I call it the happiness box because it gives a lot of happiness to the parents and the children. So these are the small things that they get when they enroll with us, the readiness kits that they get at the time of admission, which helps the children to do a lot of activities where they can be ready for the school. We have a theme kit which is given to the parent during the PTM, take away home and take away school. We also have the welcome kit, which helps the teacher to execute the entire curriculum in the classroom. So workbooks, notebooks, all the other things that the teacher requires to execute in the classroom. The next slide. These are some of the parts of the welcome kit essential, where we have the workbooks, books, t-shirts, achievement card. T-shirts give them a lot of sense of belonging to the classroom and EuroKids. Portfolio, where we want them to have the freedom to express themselves. Vocabulary, word of the week. We focus a lot on developing good skills in children, communication skills in children, and therefore we offer them vocabulary words, which are done once a week in the classroom. honor badges which help them to develop good characteristics in them, good traits in them, and these traits are going to live with them lifelong. The next slide. We also offer the children with multiple shifts. Now, all of us know there are some children who just can't wake up in the morning. There are some parents who have late night work shifts. They are based out of a US company or the UK company where they're working, in their time zones. We also know children whose parents don't want to send them early in the morning because they have a busy morning. So we have convenient shift timings for parents to select and the children's pattern to select, so that it becomes easier for them to be alert in the classroom and for the parents to be able to send them to school on time. The next. These are the shift timings that is there, that's offered at the center. But for more details, you can go up to the center and ask them for the shift timings. Now that's 3 and 4 hours of engagement in the classroom. So what happens when they are at home? We have something very interesting which is called the Home Buddy app, which was launched in June 2020. So a child spends like 80% of the time at home because they're only in school for 4 hours. A lot of engagement that is constructive engagement for them, because children love to do something on the phones, and instead of being on unappropriate content on the phone and the YouTube, we have something very interesting for them and engaging for them. That's called the Home Buddy app. There's a small video that takes you through that. So these are the multiple things that we have on the app. So we are focusing a lot on not only being screen time. So we have physical development activities, which is Yoga Kids and Eurofit, which is there on the app. We have assessment which happens on the app on a daily basis. Parents get feedback on that. There are parenting tips in the parent corner for the children, interactive picture talk, audio visuals, and fun zone where we can assess the children on what they learned in school. So we have multiple things which provide holistic development. So it's not just screen time, but it's constructive and engaging screen time. The next slide. The next slide, yeah. So this is the new age-wise breakup, because NEP has come up with a new age breakup. So playgroup is 2 to 3 years, nursery is 3 to 4, junior is 4 to 5, and senior is 5 to 6. When they are 6, they'll be enrolled in the grade 1. So that's as per the new NEP, but that's going to be applicable from 25-26 academic year. So this year as well, we can take in children a little below than 2 years, but from the next academic year, we won't be able to do that. The next. We also offer an integrated program, which is a 15 months program, wherein we give you 3 weeks of time where the children are getting special curriculum, which is like a revision of the previous class if the child has missed a school or is not of the age which he has to be enrolled, and 36 weeks of regular schooling. So depends on what situation you are, whether you've taken the admission last academic year, whether you need to take admission this academic year. So we are offering an integrated program which includes joining in right now and going through the entire academic year. We are also offering a summer club, since summers are coming, for the children to get exposed to each other, to get exposed to new skills development, something where they have some kind of a settling time, meeting friends, being in school, where there is a lot of educational experiences that the child will say. So I would say he'll learn a lot of skills. There will be a lot of learning that would happen during the summer club, along with a lot of fun. The next slide. We also have a lot of main school tie-ups that we are planning. So parents do ask us for what after grade, after Euro Senior, how do we get admissions in grade one? So we have a lot of tie-ups with schools in a lot of cities. Also, we give the first preference to admissions at Euro School, Billabong High, Center Point, which are our own company schools, which are part of Lighthouse Learning Group. So what is the next steps now? Next step is getting into a center and taking the admission, attending the parent orientation program, getting over the happiness kit in your hand, and the batches will start as per the city. Some cities start in April, some cities start in June. So please enroll your child today. Now we are open for question and answers. If you need to ask, you can write in the chat box of question and answer. Ram and me are here to answer your questions.
So thank you so much, Dr. Anita Madan, for a detailed, and giving us an understanding on EuroKids curriculum. So let me take this opportunity to summarize what we discussed today till we get the questions in the Q&A box. So we discussed about the importance of childhood, start from our forefathers to the scholars. Why people feel the preschool is so important is what we have seen. And we have also seen how EuroKids can offer your child with a safe school, with a structured environment, infrastructure, and with a great curriculum like the Inoya, how we are holistically thinking on serving a child and making their early childhood so memorable one. So that's what we discussed today. Now we are open for a Q&A. The parents who have any questions in their mind, now you can drop your question in the Q&A.
So Ram, there is a question where they're asking, do we have any uniform for playgroup? We do not have uniform for playgroup, but we have t-shirts which are colorful. Why do we have t-shirts? Is it because it gives the children the sense of belonging? So, the colorful t-shirts, we may say, okay, today you're going to wear yellow color and come. And we see all the children wearing yellow and coming in. So it's just to give them a sense of belonging. The t-shirts are very nice looking with buddy on them. So connecting themselves to schools, their own school, yeah. So there's another question